Let's be honest, mate. That voice in your head, the one that replays every mistake you've ever made, it's exhausting, isn't it? We live in a world that's obsessed with fixing us. Be happier. Be more productive. Heal your trauma. We're all drowning in self-improvement, spending all this energy trying to fix ourselves. But what if you're trying to fix a problem that Alan Watts proved never existed in the first place? What if this feeling of being broken is the biggest illusion of all? This self-improvement hamster wheel. It's a brutal gig. You've done the work, haven't you? You've read the books. You've done the morning gratitude journals. You've tried the meditation apps that promise inner peace in 10-minute chunks. And look, some of that stuff helps. For a bit, it sands down the rough edges. But it doesn't get to the core of it, does it? That deep, quiet background hum. That persistent feeling that fundamentally something is wrong with you. It's like constantly repainting a wall that has a structural crack. You can make it look nice for a week, but the crack always comes back. We're all walking around feeling like we have this massive, shameful structural crack. For some of us, it's the echo of a past trauma. For others, it's a lifetime of not being good enough. It's that voice that replays your worst moments right when you're trying to fall asleep. It's the shame from that mistake you made 10 years ago. It's the anxiety that you're falling behind everyone else who seems to have it all figured out. I see it. I've felt it. It is a heavy lift, isn't it? Carrying that broken label around every single day. It dictates your choices. It poisons your relationships. You hold back from that promotion or that new relationship because deep down you think, if they knew, if they really saw me, they'd see I'm a fraud. That I'm damaged goods. And here's the kicker. The whole self-help industry in a way just reinforces it. It looks at you and says, you are broken, but buy this, and I'll fix you. It sells you the sickness and the cure. We buy it because we're desperate for relief. We just want the noise to stop. We want permission to just be. But we never get it. We just get the next fix, the next book, the next seminar. So we all feel broken. But why? Why do we all share this specific, strange, and painful belief? I'll tell you why. It's not an accident, and it's not your fault. This isn't a fundamental truth of who you are. It's an idea, a very old, very powerful idea that has been implanted in us since the day we were born. It's been fed to us by our culture, our education, our very language. And to pull this thorn out of our minds, to truly get free of it, we first have to see it clearly. We have to see the illusion for what it is. And what is this illusion? It's the biggest, most convincing story we're ever told. It's the idea of the fixed self, the permanent me. From the moment you can understand language, you're taught that you are a thing. You're a name, you're a history. You're a collection of memories, a bundle of personality traits, a job title, a relationship status. You are a resume. You're taught that you are this static, separate entity, locked inside your own skin, looking out at a world that is not you. And what's the one single goal that this fixed you is given by society? To improve it, to polish it, to add achievements to it, to make it better, happier, safer, and more successful. This is the big con, mate. Society sells us this idea of a finished version of you, the healed you, the successful you, the enlightened you, floating on a cloud somewhere. It's all rubbish. It's a marketing campaign for a future that never arrives. It's a carrot on a stick, and we're the donkeys chasing it. And why? Why does our culture push this story so hard? It's simple. Because fixed, predictable, insecure things are much easier to manage and much easier to sell to than wild, fluid, unpredictable processes. Insecure people buy more stuff to fix themselves. And this is where the feeling of being broken comes from. This is the source of the crack. Because we buy this story that we are a fixed, static thing, we become absolutely terrified of anything that threatens the stability of that thing. We become terrified of uncertainty. We become terrified of failure. We become terrified of our own negative emotions. We become terrified of change. We spend all our energy trying to make life, which is pure, unpredictable, energetic flow, hold still so we can control it. We are trying to turn the ocean into an ice cube because we think we can control the ice cube. We are trying to turn a living, breathing dance into a static pose. We're trying to carve a statue of me out of granite. This is who I am, we declare. This is my personality. These are my beliefs. This is my life plan. And then what happens? Life happens. A wave hits our perfect ice cube, and it cracks. We lose the job. The relationship ends. We feel a surge of anger or sadness that doesn't fit the happy statue we're trying to be. The pose wobbles, and because we believe we are the statue, what do we conclude when it cracks? I am broken. I have failed. I need to be fixed. We mistake the cracking of the illusion for the breaking of us. We are running an impossible race, trying to make a flowing river hold still for a photograph. We're trying to nail a cloud to the sky, and we are utterly exhausted from the effort. It's an unwinnable game, and it's designed that way. And it's right here, in the middle of this exhaustion, that Alan Watts steps in, looks at the whole game, and just smiles. He flips the entire chessboard over. He suggests that our entire starting premise, this fixed eye we're trying so hard to save and polish, is the very illusion we need to see through. He offers a completely different, liberating definition of what you actually are. And it's all laid out in one of his great masterpieces. And that masterpiece is the Wisdom of Insecurity. Now, I want to be really clear here, mate. This isn't just me offering some poetic reassurance or nice-sounding inspiration. This isn't some floaty spiritual talk. Our competitor channels, they're great at that poetic stuff, but it leaves you hanging. This is different. This is a direct, logical argument from Watts himself. It's the core of his antidote to our modern anxiety. And here it is. This is the great reframe. This is the absolute peak of the mountain. The reason you can't fix yourself is because you are not a thing that can be fixed. You are not a thing at all. You are a process. You are not a noun. You are a verb. What does that even mean, right? It sounds philosophical, but it's the most practical thing you'll ever hear. Think about it. Can you fix a river? A river isn't a static thing. A river is the process of rivering. It's the constant, unstoppable flowing. You can't just take a snapshot of it, point and say, that is the river, because a second later, it's already different. It's all new water. The process is the only reality. Can you fix a flame? A flame isn't a thing. It's the process of burning. It's combustion in motion. The second it stops changing, the second it becomes static, it's not a flame anymore. It's just ash. You are exactly the same. You are not a static snapshot. You are not a person, a self, an ego that is fixed in stone. You are the constant, rolling, unpredictable, magnificent process of personing. You are a continuous flow of thoughts, sensations, feelings, memories, and electrical signals in your brain. You are the process of living. So why does this matter? Why is this the key that unlocks the broken cage? Because the entire idea of being broken depends entirely on the illusion that you are a static thing, that statue we talked about in part 2. A statue can be broken. A statue can be fixed. But a river can't be broken. It just flows. It hits rocks, it goes around them. It gets muddy, it clears up. It floods, it runs low. It's all just the river being a river. A flame can't be broken. It just flickers and dances. You are the same. You don't have a life, you are life. You don't have feelings, you are the feeling of those feelings as they pass through. You are not the one having the experience, you are the experiencing itself. And here is the most profound part, the real mind blower. That I you think of, that me who's listening to this right now, the one you're trying so desperately to fix. What is that? Watts points out that this I, this ego, isn't some little CEO sitting in your head pulling the levers. The I is the feeling. The I is the thought. The I is the effort. The I that you are trying to fix is nothing more than the very feeling of trying to fix it. It's a loop. The fixer is the feeling of fixing. There is no separate entity in there doing the work. There's just the work. There's just the process. When you truly see this, the entire house of cards, the one that says, I am broken and I must fix me just, it just collapses. There's no one to fix. There's nothing to be fixed. There is just isness. So, let that sink in for a second. You are not a broken thing. You are a perfectly functioning process. Just breathe that in. When you hear that, what's the first feeling that comes up? Is it relief, like a massive weight just lifted? Or is it maybe a bit confusing, a bit scary? Let me know. Drop that first feeling in the comments. There's no right answer. Now, I get it. This is a big idea, and the mindful mate in me knows what you're thinking. Okay, cool. I'm a process. I'm a river. That's lovely. But what do I do with that, mate? How do I live this when I'm in the middle of a 3 a.m. panic attack, or when that wave of shame hits me so hard I can't breathe? It's a fair question. It all sounds very abstract. Our competitors stop here, at the pretty metaphor. We're not going to do that. Luckily, Watts didn't just give us the what. He gave us the how. He gave us a practical tool, a go-to move for when that broken feeling comes roaring back. It's the most beautifully counterintuitive strategy you'll ever hear. He called it the backwards law. It's the absolute engine of the wisdom of insecurity. And mate, it is a genuine head-turner. It flips every goal-setting, hustle culture, self-improvement script we've ever been fed, right on its head. The law in its simplest form is this. The more you actively try to get something, the more it will run away from you. The more you desperately grasp for security, the more insecure you will feel, because you're constantly reminding yourself that you're not secure. The more you hysterically chase happiness, the more miserable you become, because you're always focused on the fact that you don't have it yet. And here's the one that matters most to us. The more you try to fix yourself, the more profoundly broken you will feel. Why? Because the very act of trying to fix is a 100 decibel, high-voltage declaration to your entire nervous system that you are in fact broken. You are reinforcing the very illusion you're trying to escape. You're pouring gasoline on the fire you're trying to put out. Let's make this real. This is the Alan Watts applied part. Think about anxiety. That 3 a.m. heart-pounding panic attack. Your mind is racing. What is your first desperate human instinct? Make it stop. I hate this. I need to calm down. I need to fix this right now. So you start fighting it. You try to wrestle the anxiety to the ground. You try to think positive. You try to force yourself to breathe deeper. And what happens? It gets worse. Your heart pounds harder. The anxiety doubles. Why? Because now you've created a brand new second layer of anxiety. You are now anxious about being anxious. The effort you used to fix the problem became the problem. Let's take another one. Grief or deep sadness. That feeling of a black hole in your chest. The fixed self-illusion, the one that wants to be a perfect happy statue, hates this. It screams, this is wrong. A healed person wouldn't feel this. Get rid of it. Fix it. Be positive. So you numb it. You distract yourself. You doom scroll or work 18-hour days or drink too much. You do anything to avoid sitting in that fire. You try to fix the sadness by running from it. And what happens? It doesn't go anywhere. It just waits. It sinks into your muscles. It turns into resentment or rage or that background hum of brokenness we started with. So what's the alternative? This is the practice. This is the how-to. The backwards law says, the only way out is through. When you're stuck in quicksand, what's the one thing they tell you not to do? Don't struggle. Don't fight. The more you thrash and panic and try to fix your situation, the faster you sink. The only way to survive quicksand is to do the most insane counterintuitive thing possible. You have to relax. You have to lean back. You have to spread your arms out and float on the very thing that is trying to pull you under. This is the practice. When that feeling of I'm broken or I'm anxious or I'm a fraud rises up in your chest, your instruction is not to fix it. It's to stop. It's to welcome it. It's to get curious. Put the welcome mat out for it. All right, anxiety, you're here. Come on in. I'm not going to fight you. Show me what you've got. Where is it physically? Is it a tightness in your throat? A cold pit in your stomach? What does it actually feel like if you drop the scary label anxiety and just feel the raw sensation? This isn't about being a cloud. Mate, this isn't some passive poetic idea. This is the hard work. This is the real practice. It's about having the profound courage to sit in the fire of the feeling itself without reaching for the fix-it button. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop fighting the feeling, the moment you stop trying to fix the process, the feeling loses its power. When you stop resisting the river, you find you're not drowning. You're just flowing. The sensation that felt so solid and broken reveals itself for what it always was, just energy, just a process, just a cloud passing in the sky of you. When you begin to practice this, when you finally stop the lifelong, exhausting war against yourself, the effort itself dissolves. The fixer and the problem both vanish. And that is where real, grounded liberation begins. That is the final, profound absolution that Watts was pointing us toward all along. This is the real wisdom of insecurity. It's the profound, bone-deep understanding that security was never the goal. Certainty was always an illusion. Control was always a ghost. The whole idea of a perfect, finished, repaired statue of you, it was never real. It was a marketing campaign for a future that doesn't exist, designed to make you feel less than in the present. You were never broken. How could you be? The river isn't broken when it's muddy. The sky isn't broken when it's stormy. They are just being. They are in process. You have just been youing. All that pain you felt, all that exhaustion, all that gut-wrenching shame, that wasn't a sign that you were broken. That was the friction burn. That was the sound of you trying to be a fixed thing when you were always a living process. It was the inevitable pain of fighting a war against your own nature. So here it is. This is the permission you've been searching for. The permission you were hoping to find in every book, every seminar, and every video. You can stop trying now. Just stop. Stop the war. Stop trying to fix yourself. Stop hunting for that repaired version of you that you think is waiting for you in the future. That person does not exist. The person listening to my voice right now, the one with all the doubts and all the scars and all the fears and all the beautiful, messy, contradictory feelings, that is the one. That is the complete, whole, perfect, unfolding process. You are not a problem to be solved. You are a miracle to be witnessed. You are already enough. You always were. You're not broken, mate. You're just awake in a world that's still dreaming. If this video helped you let go of even a little bit of the burden of having to fix yourself, hit the like button so I know this message meant something to you. And if you know someone, a friend, a loved one who is struggling with this broken feeling, share this video with them. It might be the permission they need to hear today. Thanks for tuning in, mate. Stay mindful.